Good evening, friends. I hope I'm audible. So let us begin with today's answer writing session. In these answer writing sessions, as you already know, that I pick up an editorial. I try to analyze that editorial from both the mains perspective, and I also show you how questions can be framed from the prelims perspective. And then we do a live answer writing. So let us begin today's editorial. Let me just share today's editorial with you. So this is today's editorial. So basically it is on privatization. Okay, on privatization. Recently, we all know that Air India has been privatized and has been sold off to the Tata Group. Okay, in that context, Mr. Varun Gandhi has written a very good editorial on the policy of disinvestment and privatization. Okay, what are the pros, what are the cons, and what is the way forward? Okay, what is the way forward as far as disinvestment and privatization is concerned? So he begins the editorial with basically that the major point. Okay, why are we privatizing? Why are we privatizing the like these PSUs? So the main point is that okay, government fiscal deficit has risen very high. It's around 6.8%, which comes to around 15.06 lakh crore. 15.06 lakh crore is the fiscal deficit of the government, just central government. And if you add to this the state government deficit, it comes to around 12.7% of the GDP. 12.7% of the GDP. So very high fiscal deficit, very high fiscal deficit. In this background, there is a consensus that we should sell the loss-making PSUs. We should sell loss-making PSUs, or we should disinvest. We should disinvest from loss-making PSUs. Okay, and the major reasoning is that the entry of private players can help to turn around these PSUs. Here, what the author says that author has given various examples. From other countries where just selling the PSUs have not led to increase in efficiency. Okay, see, let us try to understand what is the rationale behind disinvestment or privatization. What is the rationale? The rationale is that, okay, first rationale is that if a PSU is basically a loss-making PSU, then that PSU is basically a drain on exchequer, and the money which has been invested by the government in the PSUs are giving what? Either low return or negative return. So, okay, so we should basically sell those PSUs. We must like disinvest from those PSUs. Okay, the public ownership should be reduced. That is the main contention. The second contention is that okay, these PSUs, because of various reasons, are inefficient, and when the management will be given to the private player, okay, that efficiency of those PSUs is going to increase. And profitability is going to increase, and that will in turn help the economy, and it will help the customers, because if the efficiency of the companies will increase, then what will happen? Obviously the services will be offered at a very low price, so customers are going to benefit. So like these are 2 or 3 important arguments in favor of disinvestment or privatization. Okay, but there are various opposition or arguments in opposition. Okay, what are these arguments? So first arguments, what the author says that okay, not necessarily selling these PSUs or privatizing these PSUs are going to increase their performance. Here the author has given example of the British Airways, British Gas, and the railways. Okay, so he has given few examples where even in Britain, okay, where if you know, the Margaret Thatcher government was the first government in the world along with the Reagan government in America to start privatization and disinvestment in the late 1970s. Okay, this is specifically called the Thatcherism or Reaganism, which is basically based on neoliberal philosophy. Okay, neoliberal state philosophy. What is neoliberal state philosophy? Neoliberal state philosophy is that the state is inefficient, and because the state is inefficient, there is a lot of wasteful expenditure, and this wasteful expenditure basically comes as a burden of on citizens as tax. So state should basically roll back from economic activities, and it should privatize these public sector units to private players, and private players are believed to be more efficient, and they can deliver the services at very low prices, and they can improve the efficiency and productivity of the economy. That is the whole reasoning behind privatization, which started in Britain and America during the period of Margaret Thatcher in Britain and Ronald Reagan in America. So that is, I'm giving you the brief background, which is not there in this editorial, but I want to just give you this background because you must understand from where is this privatization or disinvestment globalization philosophy coming from. The philosophy is coming from the neoliberal economic policy. Okay, so it gives a lot of examples where there have been mixed results. What are mixed results? Means privatization of PSUs have led to both increase in performance, and it has led to like no change in performance also. So he had given some examples. Okay, then what he says that, okay, sometimes what happens is that, okay, disinvestment, the main concern with disinvestment or privatization is that the value, okay, what will be the value will the government get? So valuation is a big concern. Many a times it has been criticized that sometimes we have sold these PSUs at very low valuation, which is again a loss to the exchequer, So another point is what? Another point is that we are now noting down the criticisms. The first criticism, what did I say? First criticism is that it may not lead to increase in efficiency. It may not lead to increase in efficiency. Okay, not necessarily private sectors are efficient, not necessarily. There are various private sector companies which have failed. See, profitability depends upon basically the kind of management which is there, the kind of governance which is there, and the main reason why PSUs do not make profit is basically they are not given the independence. That is the main reason. There has nothing to do with private and public. It is basically the board or the management must be empowered enough, must not be strangulated, must not be controlled, must not be politicized. That is the main point. Okay, so even we have public sector units which are more profitable than private sector units. Not necessarily public sector units are loss making. Just you should keep this in mind. Okay, so first point was that. The second criticism is basically of the valuation. Okay, since government will be selling off its stake in these companies, and so what kind of valuation government will get? Okay, many a times there have been alleged accusations that the valuations at which these PSUs have been sold to the private players are at very low valuations, which is again a loss to the exchequer. The third reason is that just selling these PSUs to basically meet the deficit is wrong. Okay, just selling these PSUs to meet the deficit is wrong. Why? Because what will happen is that government will get an easy money, and government might use that money for like wasteful expenditure. So it's like a selling of family silver. It's again a criticism. Family silver. This word you will get to hear whenever you hear about disinvestment, my friends. Okay. The fourth criticism, if you see, is basically of the job loss. We all know that in India, after the 1991 economic reforms, okay, many of the PSUs were disinvested and privatized, and this has led to loss in formal sector jobs. Okay, see, although there are jobs created, but if you see, most of the unorganized, like private sector jobs are mostly unorganized and informal. So, and they are basically contractual jobs mostly. Okay. So the good quality jobs are there in the public sector units, and those jobs have been reducing in numbers because of the decreasing number of PSUs, because of the privatization. You see, generally what happens is that whenever we privatize, okay, or the PSUs, okay, so they will the private entity which will own these PSUs will go for cost cutting. So it will basically lay off many staffs. Okay, so that is another reason, that is another criticism. And in this scenario where India, okay, the demand is very low, and in that context, if we keep on selling the PSUs and we lose jobs, so obviously the incomes of the people will reduce, and that will impact the demand, and that will impact the revival of the economy. Okay, that is another point, that is another point. And the last but not the least criticism is basically formation of oligopoly. Okay, what happens is that most of the sectors where there have been privatization, it has been observed, my friends, that what happens, there is a private monopoly. There's a private monopoly. So instead of a government monopoly, see, the major criticism of government was what? The major criticism of government was that, okay, government is not efficient. And why the hell government is not efficient? The government is not efficient because government is having monopoly. Government is having monopoly, and anyone who has monopoly, obviously inefficiencies will creep, because competition brings efficiency. You have to remember, competition brings efficiency. Competition is in the interest of the customers. But what have we seen? That in place of public monopolies, what we are creating is the private monopolies. And he has given various examples. He has given various examples that in many sectors, what we are doing is that we are creating, in many sectors, what we are doing, my friend, is that we are creating private monopolies. And he has given 2-3 good examples, 2-3 good for examples. And these private monopolies are also not good as far as the customers are concerned. Customers are concerned, they're not good. So we should not create privatization in such a manner that in place of public monopolies, we create private monopolies. So that is a very fine argument made by the author. Okay, made by the author. Then what he says that, okay, that there are various PSUs perform various strategic role. PSUs perform various as a social role also, by giving good quality jobs, by being a model employer, by being a model employer. So what can be done? How can we reform these PSUs? So what the author has suggested the Singapore model or the China model, where we basically, what we do is that we are corporatizing these PSUs and we are creating a holding company. We are creating a holding company, okay, where we give them more autonomy, more managerial autonomy, so that they can take decisions quickly and they can compete with the private players. And it has been seen that PSUs which have been given more autonomy, okay, more autonomy, have basically they have been successful in increasing their efficiency and profitability. Okay, so these are like, this is the editorial analysis. Now I would like to go and let's try to write the answer. Let us try to write the answer. Now what I will do, sir, I'll just pick the question. I will pick the question from the daily practice sheet. I'll pick the question from the daily practice sheet, and let us go to the daily practice sheet question and let us try to answer. Let us see how can we answer a good answer to the today's question of the day. See, every day I'm giving you a question of the day, and these questions of the day you have to practice. See, practice makes a man perfect. Okay, just reading would not do. Okay, and particularly in the UPSC mains examination, practice makes a big difference. Okay, because you will learn structuring, you will learn how to basically like write a good introduction, how to basically write body, and how to write conclusion. So let us see today's question. So today's question, I have said that question, what I have framed is that, okay, critically examine the disinvestment policy of the government of India. How far privatization is effective in increasing the performance of PSUs? Okay, so this is a question, my friends. So what will you do? How to introduce? Okay, how to introduce the question? What is how to introduce the answer? Okay, so introduction, what you can do is that you can go with the context. You can go with the context. Always introduction, either there are various ways of introducing. but the best way of introduction is the context. Okay, link it to the current affairs. You can say that recent sale of Air India to the Tata Group has again basically brought this investment policy of the government of India in the limelight. Okay, that you can write the context. You can start with the context of the basically Air India. You can start with the context of the Air India. Okay, you can start with that. Okay, then what it says, critically examine the disinvestment policy. So first what you do, sir, first it is very important for us to give a brief overview of the disinvestment policy in India. So what we can do is that we can give a heading like this: disinvestment, okay, policy of India. Okay, then you can write briefly what was the disinvestment policy. So you can write here the evolution, because disinvestment policy in India has evolved. Okay, it was not like it has been static. The disinvestment policy in India has been very dynamic. Okay, let me just show you. So what happened after the 1991 economic reforms? Okay, it was the first year where we started disinvestment. In that year, we disinvested many companies, and we got a fair amount of value also. Okay, to the exchequer. Okay, then what we did in 1996, my friend, in 1996, we created a disinvestment commission. My friend, 1996. Then what we did around, if you see 2000, around 2000, what we did was around 2000 we created a disinvestment ministry. And again we basically we changed that this ministry into department, disinvestment department. In 2004 we created a disinvestment department. Basically from the ministry we changed it to department. Okay, so this little bit you have to tell that in 2004 what we have said, that we will not go for any sale, we will not privatize any PSUs. This was when the UPA government came into power. UPA government, you know that UPA 1 had left support. Okay, so they decided that we are not going to sell any PSUs. So this, you see, in 2005 the policy changed. In the 2005 the policy changed. 2005 policy changed, and this policy remained till 2014. 2005 to 2014, the policy remained the same. And again what happened in 2014 when the NDA government came into power? Okay, they again revived the disinvestment policy of the government of India, and they said that now what we are going to do is that we are going to divide the PSUs into two sectors, that basically the strategic sector and the non-strategic sectors, my friend. Okay, and in the strategic sectors PSUs will be playing an important role. There will be at least one PSU, and in the non-strategic sector we will privatize the PSUs, particularly the loss-making PSUs. Will completely privatize. Okay, so this is what the policy of the government of India as far as disinvestment is concerned. Now you have to go to the third part of the answer. Basically you have to write a heading: critical examination. So first what you will write is that arguments in favor of disinvestment. Okay, favor. First point, as we have said, fiscal deficit. Second point, it will get what? Efficiency will improve. Efficiency is going to improve. Okay, third point, my friend, the money can be used for capital investment. Okay, capital investment, and for investments that will boost the economy. Okay, fourth point, that money can be increased in expenditure of social sector. Okay, and sometimes loss making PSUs are drain on exchequer, so we can stop the bleeding of the government. Okay, and we can bring efficiency in the basically the economy. Okay, these are some of the points which are in favor. Okay, in favor. Then you have to write arguments against. Okay, then you have to make another heading: arguments against. So here also you can write that the money is used sometimes in the wasteful expenditure. Okay, sometimes the valuation is not correct. Sometimes you can write that there is a criticism that there is sometimes corruption in the valuation also. Okay, then loss of jobs. Then you can write loss of jobs, okay. And PSUs have some strategic importance also. So if we are keep on selling the PSUs, then the government will not be able to manage what emergency situation during corona also, and during such type of situation where the economy is in recession or economy is not doing good, so private sector will not be willing to invest. Okay, so in that scenario, it is very important that we have some PSUs which can invest in the economy, and that will lead to crowding in of investment. So if we keep on selling the PSUs, then government will not be in a position to crowd in investments. Okay, so these are some of the points which you have to write. Then you write way forward. Here we can start with the Rungta panel. And then we can go that even the Rungta panel has suggested that we should create some holding company. Way forward. Then the fourth point is way forward. We should create some holding company. You can write here, mention here the China model and the Singapore model, my friend. Mention here Singapore model of holding companies, giving more autonomy, giving more managerial autonomy, financial autonomy. Here you can mention the PSU policy of the government of India of the past, where it created Maharatnas, Navratnas, where it gave financial autonomy to the government, to the PSUs. At the same time, you can mention about the recent new PSU policy of strategic and non-strategic sectors. You can mention, and you can say that, okay, just selling these PSUs is not going to bring efficiency. What we need is that we should reform these PSUs. Reforming these PSUs is very important, and reforming PSUs will entail reforming the board of the PSUs. Okay, reforming PSUs will entail reforming the board of the PSUs, improving the corporate governance, having an arm's distance from the ministry so that there is no politicization. So overall, it can end with two, three good lines about the PSUs, that PSUs have played a phenomenal role. They were basically what? They were the backbone of the Indian economy in the first 50 years of independence, and they still play a very important role as far as strategic sectors are concerned. At the same time, we cannot go on with the loss-making PSUs. So it is very prudent that we sell off this loss-making PSUs. But at the same time, my friend, we have to take care. We have to take care that we do not create private monopolies instead of the public monopolies, my friend. Okay, so with this, I conclude today's answer writing session. See, I would like to make a call. Okay, please, I want at least 100 likes to this video. If you really like the discussion, please give me a thumbs up. Okay, the target is 100 likes and 1000 views. So please share with your friends if you are liking these discussions. I have got various requests that you would like to have 2 or 3 editorials also. I am going to discuss 2 or 3 editorials, but for that I want more number of students to watch that. Because if it is benefiting more number of students, then only I'll come and I will invest my time. Okay, so let me know is it helping you or not. Thank you, my friends. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Bye.